The X-Men have finally been introduced to the MCU after years and years of speculation, of fan casts and everything. 20 years plus of watching these movies. Now we finally have them coming into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I am just beyond excited as a huge X-Men fan. This is just something that you've been waiting for. Disney got the rights of 20th Century Fox and including all of the X-Men and a bunch of other characters. Yeah, it's been a couple of years since we even seen a glimmer of this. The first thing was Evan Peters in WandaVision, and then slowly building up to the mutant saga, and now seeing the cast is just something I am really just beyond excited for. And here we're gonna go into more in-depth review of the casting and what I think about it. First casting is we had, spoiler alert, obviously if you haven't seen Spider-Man, Sadie Sink as Jean Grey. This was a huge rumor for them. I'd say like at the past year and a half now, maybe a little less, but when she was officially rumored to be in the Spider-Man movie, everyone's like, oh, who's gonna be? Will it be Gwen Stacy? Will she be Jean Grey? Will she be just an alternate character or whatsoever? So many rumors and stuff like that. And I'm like, Jean Grey, we haven't really seen anything X-Men related in the MCU. Maybe in Miss Marvel with the word mutant finally being used in that show. But besides that, we really haven't had anything. We had the Quicksilver and WandaVision with that little cameo, but it wasn't him. It was just a different version, same actor. Obviously you had in Multiverse of Madness, you had Professor X, you had a few other characters being linked, obviously Deadpool and Wolverine. But you still really haven't had an official, I guess, lineup for this new era of X-Men in the MCU. And now we have Jean Grey starting that trend. For me, great casting. She's a great actor. Obviously, people know her in Stranger Things. Obviously she was like she's the number one cast of any redhead. So when people were saying Jean Grey, even before the Spider-Man movie, even before anything, they're like, oh, Jean Grey, Sadie Sink, she's red hair, everyone with red hair, boom, like whatever. But I think she did great in Spider-Man, and now to see it's a really young cast overall. But yeah, I'm just really excited to see here Kit Connor being casted as Cyclops. I've known of him for a few years now, especially during I'd say like quarantine, maybe a little above. He was in that show Heartstopper. Never watched it, but I know that was like a huge thing, and I always seen like on Instagram or on TikTok of his name and of him. And for me, he looks the part. He's great. He's been in a few other movies. I did see the movie it was like a war type movie. Forget the name. But so I know of him. He also did in Broadway. He did one with Rachel. He did a show with Rachel Zegler. So multi-talented. He's a great actor from what I've seen. So yeah, he looks the part as well. Other photos you can really see. Already has the build. Already has I guess the facial features. You want to say the structure. He's looked great. But he wasn't my number one cast. There was a bunch of rumors of who was going to be Cyclops. Originally, he wasn't gonna be Cyclops. There was so many rumors regarding it. You had Drew Starkey, who was apparently confirmed to be Cyclops, and Cooper Hoffman, Drew Starkey. The two, one day, boom, officially confirmed. The next day, boom, this Drew Starkey is officially confirmed. It was a back and forth. Cooper Hoffman got a lot of hate coming into this fan cast or this alleged confirmed casting, and people saying he doesn't look the role. For me, maybe it just could have been a Chris Pratt situation, get ripped for the role, look completely different, prove everyone wrong. He was in that movie, The Walk, The Mile. I don't remember the name, but he was actually with the new Black Panther that got announced recently. So he was great in that, and obviously Drew Starkey in Outer Banks, known actor. Like I said, not really crazy known into the actors. I know some of their work, but it's not like these are not like two actors that I knew like crazy, But you know their names when you see them. So these were the two heavy rumored before Kit Connor was announced. So there was that. But these were my number one and two, I guess, fan cast you want to say. And it was Nicholas Chavez. You know, he was in Monsters and he's in a few other shows. And for me, he looks exactly the part. Acting wise, who knows? I'm not sure if he was even a contender coming into this. But for me, he looks, when you picture Cyclops, I picture Nicholas Chavez. He looked exactly like him. He was fan cast. You know, but who knows? I don't know if they try to go for a younger role. I don't really know how old he is. Obviously, you want to be around the same age with Sadie Sink because of the Jean Grace and Scott Summers love story that they have there. But Nicholas Chavez was one of my fan casts, and it was Brenton Twitis. He's known in Titans. He was on that the other movie where you're stuck in the island with that girl. I forgot the name. I watched it many times, but I don't remember the name for some reason. For me, he was like my number one cast for years, even before X-Men was even a known thing coming out. He was like the definition or the top of my head of Cyclops, of Scott Summers, and it was him, and he does look the part for me. He is, I'm pretty sure, a little bit more the older side, so probably was never gonna happen. For me, he was great in Titans as Robin and then Nightwing. For me, I was a huge fan of his, but Kit Connor, I'm really excited. I like the casting, so there's that. And then here we have this one actually really surprised me. You have Indy Neverready as Rogue. Originally, her name wasn't even nowhere involvement with Rogue. I don't know if this was like a last minute thing. I don't know if this was a thing that was hidden. But Indy Neverready, after being huge, after doing amazing in Obsession, her name really got out there, and she just blew up in seconds. So really good actor. She's been in Stranger Things, which I've watched all the seasons, and she's not a major part in the role. She was in the final season, and then she was in Superman and Lois, a show that I've also watched. So I knew of her before Obsession, where that movie just blew up. I remember seeing my friends like, "Oh, let's go watch this movie Obsession." It's blowing up on TikTok, on Instagram, whatever. And I'm like, "Oh, this actor, yeah, she's from Superman and Lois. She just looks a little different." But yeah, as Rogue, I maybe Mystique. There's rumors of her and Mystique being in that, which I could see, but I don't think that they're doing that type of situation right now in the X-Men series. But who knows? Who knows? Because originally it was Kaylee Spaney who was reported to be Rogue, and it was pretty much confirmed. Everyone thought it was going to be. It was great casting. She looks the part. But I guess maybe something happened. Maybe it was just never really a thing. Maybe Indy last minute call up. She's a top commodity actor right now. So, and if you look at the photos, it does look the part. You look here, and then obviously everything's AI and stuff like that. But you look at this and you look at Rogue character, they do look alike. So there's that. And then here is Samara Weaving, who was this is like this and Kit Connor, I think the only two actors that were officially confirmed before D23 that were going to be in X-Men and then changed, because there were two actors here that already changed prior. But Samara Weaving being casted as Emma Frost in the X-Men. This was like a cast that everyone loved. She looks the part. Don't know much of Samara Weaving. People wanted, how did I forget her name? Sydney Sweeney. No, she doesn't. So I think Samara Weaving looks exactly perfect with the part of Emma Frost, and excited to see her. I don't know much about Samara Weaving. I know she's in a bunch of great shows and movies, but for me, looks the part. People were giving it a thumbs up. I'm happy about it. There's nothing there. This one I was shocked because prior to D23, there were no rumors between or about Professor X, Charles Xavier. I would love to see McAvoy reprise his role as Charles, but I really wish it did, but I have nothing. I don't know much about Christopher Abbott. I know he's um, in a few good things, and people, a lot of people are actually happy about this casting. They like his acting. So, like I said, I don't know much about him. Um, I'm still going to be devastated about the McAvoy and Fassbender. I wish those two could have reprised their role. Maybe if Michael Fassbender could. They were just perfect in First Class and Apocalypse. Um, just a huge. I was a huge fan of those two. But let's see how Christopher Abbott does, and that this is some of his work he's done. Can't really see on the screen, but Wolfman. I do actually remember Wolfman. He was in Craven the Hunter. Catch 22. Like I said, don't know much about him, and this is him how he looks bald, and you can kind of see the resemblance. He does look like him bald. Um, so yeah, we'll see about that. And then this one was rumored a little bit um, before D23, and it was Adam Driver being casted as Mister Sinister, uh, the bad guy for the movie. And I'm a huge Adam Driver fan. They've been saying that he's someone that's they've been wanting to have in the MCU. Kevin Feige has been wanting Adam Driver, and finally it's happened, and it's in the X-Men movie. Couldn't be more happier. I hope this kind of helps them lean towards a Ben Solo movie, because I'm a Star Wars fan and I love the character of Ben Solo. Um, Obviously, those movies have a little bumps along the roads, but I think Ben Solo as a character was great, and Adam Driver did amazing in that role. So hopefully that pushes towards his role in Star Wars. And here he wasn't at D23, but he did film from the Marvel Studios back, and yeah, great to see a known actor be there. Here I can read some of the, he was obviously in Star Wars. He was House of Gucci. He was in The Last Duel, Megalopolis, just a bunch of movies and shows. So Adam Driver is a great actor. This one I was surprised. I did not think. Same with Charles Xavier. I didn't think we are gonna get a Storm cast right now, and we did, and it was Maya Boyd. And I don't think this is her acting debut. I could be wrong, but she's like a fairly, really new actor or actress. Um, yeah, we'll see. I don't know really about anything about Maya Boyd, but um, Storm. Like I said, I was really surprised and shocked to even get a casting of Storm being the X-Men, and she's a superhero where you grew up and you know who Storm is. She's really well known. I remember growing up, thinking that Storm is like so tough, fire, like such a sick character. Especially in the X-Men movies, I think they portrayed her obviously, with Cyclops and overall, but the looking wise and power wise, and just watching the X-Men movies as a kid, you look at Storm, you're like, damn, like such an amazing character. And let's see how Maya Boyd, let's see how she is as Storm. And yeah, that's pretty much the entire casting. Maya Boyd as Storm, Kit Connor as Cyclops, Sadie Sink as Jean Grey, Indy Neverready as Rogue, Samara Weaving as Emma Frost, and Christopher Abbott as Professor X. Finally, the X-Men are in the MCU. They need a redemption. They've slowly, quote unquote, fell off. X-Men were the shit like back in the early 2000s, and then the MCU was starting to come up, and the Avengers blew up, and Dark Phoenix was like their last X-Men movie, which was just horrible. But big fan of the X-Men. Grew up with the games, grew up with the comics, grew up with the the TV shows and everything like that. So very happy to see, and it's a great cast. But one thing, what happened like a few days right before D23 was Charles Melton. He was rumored to play Beast, and apparently he passed the role. He was gonna be announced in D23, but who knows? I just know he's on that one show that recently came out, but besides that, I don't know much about him. So, not really like something I'm gonna be like sad about. But we'll see who will be Beast. We'll see what that. And Jake Schreier says that his X-Men movie will include a lot of things never done before in the X-Men on film. digging into those comics, like the Chris Claremont run and the newer Jonathan Hickman stuff, there are so many stories that are still untold, and who knows how they're gonna do it. Is it like this is probably not gonna be in a separate universe, probably in the same one, but what's gonna happen in Doomsday and Secret Wars, the incursions and the merging of all universes. It's gonna be such, you never know, you don't know what's gonna happen. This is gonna take place obviously after the two movies have already come out, and it's gonna start the mutant saga. But just really excited. I don't know what is gonna happen, how they're gonna portray it, or all they're gonna merge. A soft reboot. This probably will be the start of the soft reboot of the MCU, but I am just beyond excited. And it was a cool little pitch of Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. A little funny pick that they had there. And he's like, if you need some help, I'm here. And who will play X-Men? Will it be Hugh Jackman again? I wouldn't mind, really. He's just a perfect for the role. Every time with these fan casts, I'm like, who? They name someone, I'm like, nah. Name someone else, I'm like, nah. He's just perfect for the role. So who knows? We'll see. And then Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool is just another perfect casting. So you would want to see them both, and they're fairly new. Deadpool just joined the MCU. Yes, he's played this role for many years now. But who knows? But that's pretty much all about this X-Men casting. Really excited, and we'll see what happens.